Okay, so what we do when we make our corned beef, we start with this nice beef brisket, and then we take some pickling spice. You get the stuff you can get at Giant Eagle or whatever grocery store you like to go to. Whenever you're dealing with like some seasoning like this is some black pepper, it's anise, it's coriander, there's some different types of seasonings in here. Before you use these, what you want to do is you want to get a dry saute pan and toast them over the stove for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes till you really start smelling the flavor. So all you're going to really do is when you toast them on the stove is bring out some of the oil, some of the flavors of each of the seasoning that's in there, and that in turn is going to impart more of a flavor onto whatever you're making. You can use that pretty much for anything. Whenever you're making a dry rub for if you're smoking ribs or on your pork butts, you always want to toast your dry ingredients first. That doesn't necessarily include your kosher salt or your sugar, because that sort of thing is going to burn. This is more for like your cumin, your coriander, your mustard seeds, your caraway, your bay leaves, things like that. Dry things that aren't really going to burn. So what we have, I rub these down. I like to rub them down a couple hours before I cook them. So we just have a nice rub on both sides of the meat all the way around. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it, have some hot water, and all we're going to do in the water till we reach an internal temperature of 195 degrees. So when it gets to be 195 degrees, we're going to take it out. We're going to put that in a large shallow pan, and then we're actually going to take the same liquid it's cooking in and pour it on top of it as it cools down. So whenever it's cooling down, it's going to absorb the liquid, so it's going to keep it from drying out and keep the meat nice and moist. We have our corned beef here that after it's cooked and cooled in the liquid, we shave it against the grain. You'll be able to tell what the grain will be running one way, and by cutting it against the grain, you're going to break up all the connective tissue so it chews a lot easier. If you cut it with the grain, you'll notice you'll have a really tough, chewy piece of corned beef. So it's very important, any sort of beef, not just corned beef, but any sort of beef that you're cutting. It's a flank steak or a flat iron, something, you always want to cut against the grain to break up that tissue. Okay, so we have our corned beef, some Swiss cheese, some sauerkraut, and some marble rye bread. We take a little bit of the blended oil, toast the bread, and then I put a little more oil on the top, and then I flip that over and I toast both sides. By toasting the second side, you put the cheese on there, and it helps make the cheese really nice and melty on there as well. So while that's toasting, take a little more oil. Start our corned beef. And our cabbage, or sauerkraut. This sandwich it's really easy to make, especially if you make your corned beef at home. That's it. I mean, it's 4 minutes, it's done. Now a lot of people say, hey, I don't have a flat top grill at home. You can make the same thing in just a pan. Just do 2 pans. You get your corned beef and sauerkraut up in one. Toast your bread in the oven. That's it. I hope you're hungry.
About to take a bite of the world famous Heirloom Reuben, voted #1 by your Beaver County. Great job, Chef Rich.
Thank you.